Hello, and today I'm going to be editing the battle scene inside my novella. That's going to be chapter 10 and chapter 11. I'm going to see how far I can get through the novella and hopefully finish the battle scene all the way through and give you some updates of how my editing process has been going. So please subscribe for more writing content. Alrighty. So, as always, I'm going to have my wonderful clipboard filled with editing notes. So I am on chapter 10, and sometimes I'm going to be talking at the same time, so bear with me. And I'm on the very first page of whenever. How should I say this? A villain confrontation. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to take a few words out, just a little wordy, you know, just something to get started with. But so far, so good on the opening chapter page. Whenever I was working on chapter 6 through 8, I've been struggling with the chapter openings, and that hasn't been easy to fix. It's like I had to read it over multiple times and figure out what to what to replace it with so it can flow better. And a recurring theme that happens in my writing, as I'm revising and editing my writing, is that there are certain sentences that just ruins the flow. Ooh, I'm getting into the villain line. Well, well, well. Who do we have here? I really nailed down the villain's awareness and what he like his point of view. And also, I did do some revisions with chapter 10 before. It used to be chapter 9 before I added a chapter. And it seems like it doesn't need as much revisions, but there's always something just to look out for. And it's like back and forth with power dynamics of who's in control, and the villain is just reminding the characters about that. Wait. Let me read that entire line. Okay. Yeah, this one character talks too much, which gives the villain an advantage. Mm. And I also like this line a lot too. And also, I recently edited this area particular between two characters. Before, it was like very petty in a way. It was like, you lied to me? Oh, well, I didn't mean to lie to you. Well, we don't, well, friends don't lie to each other. And like, it's very short lived before the villains lie. He cuts them off, and yeah, that's when the battle just starts to like hypen up and all that stuff. So yeah, and I'm about to get there when it comes to editing it, and it's it's just nothing to really correct in this area. Okay, so we have double space here, and every once in a while, you might find typos and double spacing in your writing. That's expected, and I'm not perfect with it, and It just happens. So don't overthink the editing process. Just trust the process, and and I wouldn't say get it done, but pace yourself with it, because this is a process that you will have to be patient and allow time to do its thing. So what I was working on with chapter 9 was not 9, chapter 8. I'm sorry. It was about tension. I want tension to be built up, and with this in particular, just saying that, oh, she forgave her. Let's build that tension as if that person had some like conflict, like I want to forgive you, but you hurt my feelings in a way. That makes sense. And I like how this character is taking accountability of her actions. That is really good. And this is like a turnaround. This chapter is a turnaround for a couple characters and how they stand up um and take accountability for themselves. Yeah. Yeah. I like this part, y'all. I like this part. Sorry. Not sorry. Yeah. Now, this is everyone coming together. The battle is about to begin. At first, I talked about this in previous videos. Um, in my previous videos, I mentioned about how I first wrote the battle scene. I never written a battle scene at this point, and I was like, I've watched so many movies that have battle scenes and they execute it either very well or very poorly. And I was like, how am I going to execute a battle in book format? And I had no idea. I had to stop myself and research that, which I wouldn't recommend researching in the middle of your book, no matter what length it is. I would say trust the process and do the best you can. And whenever I was stuck on this was the first draft. So I could have just wrote it as is, or, well, this was based on a script, so I had to change it a lot. But I also revised this battle scene a couple more times as well. So it'll be more clean and like less likely for me to take things out, but you never know. And whenever I was writing the battle scene, it was a lot of writing how the battle was going and the actions, less of dialogue. Because sometimes dialogue between characters can take away from what's going on and what's at stake. So it was necessary for me to just explain what was going on without like just saying beat by beat. You know what I mean? Because you need to have that balance that that tells you what the characters are doing, but also what is going on, like what is the bigger picture, pretty much. I'm kind of dressed to. No, no, I'm not. I'm not dressed to go to battle. Until an explosion rapidly occurred that made the ground shake like an earthquake, blew out all the music, trying to. Okay, okay. Okay, I got a little too good. I got a little too good. Like reminders of like why are you doing this? What is your why? Yeah, a lot of this is truly build up to that one-on-one confrontation, and that's where I'm at right now. The villain, he knows that the protagonist is there, but it's not coming out from hiding. He wants to have this element of surprise. Every time I read this, it is just so hard to bear because there's just a lot that is going on. It's like I can feel the character's pain as they're going through this battle, and it's it's torture. Now the main character is going back to earlier in the story, like once again those reminders. It's like a lot of this chapter just goes back to reminding the characters where they were and now where they're at, which is the battle, and truly how personal these stakes are. And it's very empowering whenever the characters find self-realization and empowers themselves to endure the hardships and the circumstances. It really shows tenacity and resilience in the character or characters. And it really shows how far they have came, and it really defines where their character development is at from the beginning all the way to the final confrontation or the climax. And I can only imagine what is going on and what the characters are going through. It's just so much to just take in, like as if I was actually there. It's just so breathtaking because of how much is at stake, and you know that there's only one winner. Part of me is just reading it and just enjoying it, but I really cannot find much to revise because a lot of it I did last year, I believe. I know it wasn't 2023. No, I did revise this in 2023 as I was changing up the main villain. So the main villain I have right now wasn't originally the villain I had. And what I mean is I was basically copycatting in a funny way and I hoped it would pass the test. But no, I was like, this feels so wrong and all that stuff. And January 2023, me and my friend, we were in the cafeteria spending sixth period there because, well, the teacher was not at school. So me and my friend were talking, and I told her about my novella series MM, and we were we were talking a lot about it, and I told her about my villain and how unoriginal it is, and uh, I just needed some inspiration about it. And she insisted me to, yeah, completely change it. And this one character's name just stood out to me, and I kept on thinking about it throughout the day. And that evening, I began creating his backstory and how he became the villain that he is in MM. And I like him. No, I love him like so much better than the original villain I had for it, which is yeah. And you could comment down below if you think you know what villain I'm referencing. Hint hint. The battle scene is happening underwater. So I finally can take something else out. But ri- with reason. With reason. Okay. So character confronted while having a sword in front of her. Okay, okay. Yeah, that's good. The past is the past. They most likely forgot about me. However, you're my biggest threat. And they exchange very little dialogue with each other, which I like. And just give it the details. Like, this is more, it's not blow by blow, but it's like this character does this, but the villain's counteracting. They're both like having their ups and downs, and how it's happening all in this one chapter. Cliffhanger at the end of the chapter. That is so cool. Alright, so now I'm on chapter 11, page 179. Oh, I like how it has that entire paragraph on that opening page. Imagine if this just ends up being nothing. I just changed nothing in this chapter. It's very possible because of how many times I revised it. Like I said before, this is not my first time revising MM. I've revised it a couple times, but I did certain sections. I remember a dialogue being longer than this. It was too much, so I had to cut it down. I'm glad it's simplified now. It's not really dialogue. It's like monologue. Monologue. Yeah, that's what it's called. And I know in the past I was trying to fix this bottom part of page 181. I'm going to take this out. It's about them both say it together, but basically, what one of the main characters says is basically it's going to take the both. It's going to take the both of us to take him down, and this together. It's touching. However, it just kind of drags a little bit. So I'm gonna say like drag on dialogue, and we boop. Ooh, and any time I have drag on dialogue, DOD. So I guess 11 is about the dialogue. Okay, that's much better. That's so much better. Flows like quick, precise, and it doesn't drag. And it makes sense having a little bit more dialogue with this because they are working together to defeat the villain. And like communication is key. But at the same time, I'm not going to allow the dialogue to overpower the description of how the battle is playing out. And as you can see, I'm trying to read it at the same time as I'm talking, as I've been doing throughout the video. But it has been very fun and very discussion led in a way. And this is actually pretty fun, just talking about talking in real time about what I'm reacting to. And I love talking to people about my stories and how it's going and all. I remember in April I was going on a field trip. It was like a junior senior field trip. I was talking to one of my friends. I was dumping her with loads of story dumps. I like, because I love writing. I love storytelling, and oh my gosh, she had to be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're a writer." Yeah, I'm like, oh, oh, should I be quiet? Oh, I can be quiet if you want me to. See, like when you're a writer, you just can't shut up about storytelling, and you just gotta be around the right type of people to be like, so you don't have to be like, oh, I have to shut up now, because there's times that I felt like I was silent and I didn't have to be, and whenever I was finally saying something, I'm like, um probably not saying this to the right person or just, rambling about it. So, yeah. And just remembering that day is pretty crazy because coming back from the field trip, uh, it's kind of worse. And I was um, yeah. But transitioning to a new chapter in my life, though it sounds exciting, I know it's not going to be easy, but you know, that's why I'm taking it each day one at a time, one day at a time. That's why I tell myself. So I am at the conclusion of the battle now. So I'm almost done with chapter 11. I like this paragraph in particular because it foreshadows one of the side characters' potential turn on the main character. And I really like that. And at first, when I wrote that, well, obviously it was a little differently, but unintentionally I was foreshadowing a character change. Let's take this. Okay, there we go. That's better. And sometimes even one word can ruin, well, not ruin, but disrupt the flow of a paragraph or sentence. And sometimes it's necessary to take out that word or a certain phrase of words out from the sentence so it can just and go back to like, okay, it's back to the pace that I wanted to go. So I'm also noticing some dialogue repetition once again. I think that's gonna be my Dragon dialogue definition. Uh, Dialogue repetition, or dialogue that keeps the conversation going for a little too long. There we go. That's a better word. And sometimes, when you're trying to say a certain thing, but another word replaces it, sometimes it's not the right one. But when you go back and read it, it's like, oh, this is the word I'm trying to say, not that one. So yeah, and there's a point of view word. I have a first person pronoun in there. That was crazy. And this story was originally this story was originally in first person, but sorry, I'm trying to type this. I want to type it right. But whenever I was reading it in first person, it just didn't feel right. So I changed it to third person. And I like it a lot better. Woohoo! So I have completed the battle scene chapter and the outcome of it as well. And I haven't recorded too much of flaws that I had in chapter 10 and 11. It was very few. And like I said before, I revised chapter 10 and 11 a couple times before, so it was a lot cleaner. But there were a little things, very small things that I caught that I made sure to tidy up. And since it's at the end of the video, I have chapter 8, 9, 10, and 11. And I really had a great day editing. It's really great. And not too many flaws. Well, I have plenty of reoccurring ones. And I'm going to make a video pretty soon whenever I'm finished revising and editing about like some recurring things that I kept encountering while I was editing and what I learned from it. And this is really fun, revising and editing my own work and doing it for free. And this has been like around the fifth, sixth, or seventh time of me revising and editing So I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. See you in the next video.